Welcome to the setup and configuration of the Omega MH21 and MH21CP. In this video, we will walk through the menu and setup as it's the same for both. Both the MH21 and MH21CP have a web GUI. You can locate it by scanning your network or using a connected display. When you select the Show IP button, it will display the current IP address in the upper left corner of the display. The IP address for the MH21 can also be changed on the front panel between static or DHCP. Press and hold the IP mode and it will flash green. 2 flashes denotes that it's set to DHCP mode. 3 flashes denotes that it's not and it's set to static. If you aren't connected to a DHCP server, the static IP address will be set by default to 192.168.1.254, a subnet range of 255.255.0.0, and a gateway of 192.168.1.1. The first time you log into the switcher, you will be asked to select a password. From the login page, you can select whether it's HTTP or a secure HTTPS link. The first page is the info page. Notice I'm connected to an AT-OME MH21, but the menus and the UI are the same for the MH21CP. This page gives you the current software, firmware that it's running, as well as the video information. The next tab is the I/O or Input-Output settings. First, you can set the output audio switch to be enabled or on by default. This means that the switch will automatically be set to the input most recently connected. If an input is disconnected, then it will switch to the previous connection. To turn the auto switching off means that it won't switch regardless of if an input is connected or not. Next, you can select which input will pass through the output. You can choose between USB-C, input 1, HDMI, input 2, or AV mute. The last setting will disable the audio and video output on both the HDMI and analog output ports. The audio mute allows you to de-embed the audio from the digital signal. The audio can be de-embedded from both the HDMI and the USB-C. It's limited to 2-channel audio LPCM. Multi-channel audio is downmixed to 2-channel LPCM audio. The scaler is set to off by default. This means that 4K content will be downscaled to 1080p. If you change it to off, then the output will be the same as the input source. The HDMI output does not support 4K at 60 Hz 12-bit with HDR. If the display port is connected to a 1080p display, then the output will be downscaled. HDR, Dolby Vision HLG formats cannot be downscaled to 1080p, so if the source content is HDR, then the color saturation may appear washed out. HDCP is set to on or enabled on both the inputs by default. Some laptops may transmit HDCP content, so if it's connected to a display that doesn't support HDCP, the laptop must be instructed to send non-HDCP content. You do this by setting the HDCP to off. The next tab is the display. You can first look at the CEC command for the HDMI output. CEC stands for Consumer Electronics Control, and it passes control over the HDMI connection. Atlona has confirmed proper CEC functionality with several current models of Samsung, Panasonic, and Sony displays. However, it is not guaranteed that CEC will work with all displays. Atlona only supports displays that use CEC command structures defined in the HDMI 1.2a. If you need to control a display that doesn't work with CEC, then other control methods should be considered. When the display auto power on is enabled, it will send the power on command when the AV signal is detected. When the AV signal is no longer present, the MH21 will send the off command. Disable this feature if it's not desired. The auto off timer is the amount of time that the AV signal is no longer present before the off command is sent. You can set it to 5 seconds up to 1 hour. This switcher can be connected to a projector or display that takes a while to warm up. You can set the lamp to cool down and display warm-up timers. The lamp cool down allows you to tell the switcher how much time must elapse after the off command is sent before the on command can be sent. This prevents the system from missing a command while the projector lamp is cooling. The warm-up timer works in reverse and does not allow the off command to be sent while the system is warming up. When you select a different control type, more information will appear to be filled in. If you select RS-232 or IP commands, you can then select from our Velocity database. The standard commands will be populated if they're available. You can also test them or change them if needed. When you select the IP command, you will need to give the IP address of the output source. Non-login does not require a username or password when using TCP/IP control. Login requires a username and password that you will need to have filled in. The next tab is RS-232. If you select RS-232 for control, you will need to set the parameters for your device. EDID, Extended Display Identification Data, is the picture and sound information for the input. The MH21 and MH21CP can use the downstream EDID or a built-in preset. The downstream term is used to describe any device that receives a signal from another device. For example, a Blu-ray player is connected to a display. The display is said to be downstream from the Blu-ray player. You can choose from a few preset EDIDs. You can also save the EDID by connecting the output directly to the display, and then under EDID, save the selected output 1, and it will save the information from the display that it is connected to. Once it's been stored, it will show up in the preset list. It can be overwritten if desired. Under the Configuration tab, you have the username and password settings that are available to change. You can also set up users that will be able to log in without the admin information. This can be helpful for service technicians. The final tab is System. This is where you change the IP mode and IP address. You can also set it to Telnet and prompt for credentials. You can also set the Telnet session to log out if there's no activity. The USB section allows you to enable USB-C SuperSpeed, which enables data rates up to 5 gigabits, allowing for maximum resolutions of 4096 by 2048 at 30 Hz RGB, and it's enabled by default. USB follow mode detects the USB port that is connected to a host device. If both USB hosts are connected, the MH21 will set the last connected USB host device to active. Here's how it looks if follow USB is selected and only one USB host port is connected. Then the switcher will use the host device connected to the port. If another USB host device is connected to the vacant USB port, then the MH21 will automatically switch to that device. If both the USB host and the USB-C ports are connected, then the switch will switch to the USB port that was connected last. You can set it up to manually work only with either USB ports or the USB-C ports. Finally, you can lock or unlock the front panel to keep end users and others from manually selecting the sources. You can reset to factory, update the firmware and Velocity database, as well as downloading log files. If you're using the switcher in multiple rooms, you can set it up once, export it, and import it into other rooms without having to set up each room individually. This covers the basics for the Omega MH21 and MH21CP. For more information and updates, check out the content at www.atlona.com.